Hello and welcome to Tops 10, brought to you by KTXT Radio and the College of Media and Communication at Texas Tech University in beautiful Lubbock. Tops 10 seeks out successful and influential people in politics and government, the many professions, the physical and social sciences, or the arts and humanities, and asks them to reveal their lives, ideas, and ideals through their playlist. Our format is simple. We ask our guests what pieces of music mean the most to them and to tell us the story behind the infatuation. Mr. Derek Ginter is our producer-engineer. I'm David Perlmutter, professor at and dean of the college, and the originator of Tops 10. Today I have with me His Honor. And do you like to be called His Honor by your family too, or just people?
I wish they were so respectful, but I answer to a lot of things.
His Honor, Dan Pope, was elected to serve as mayor of Lubbock on May 7, 2016. Dan founded Benchmark Business Solutions in 1994 and grew his business enterprise to the most successful Xerox agent dealer in the country, creating over 70 jobs in Lubbock. Dan currently serves as Chief Development Officer of Covenant Health System. Mayor Pope has been an active member of the Lubbock community for more than 20 years. And Dan, you are an 8th generation Texan as well as an Eagle Scout. There's a lot to talk about there.
Yes, sir.
Now, 8th generation Texan. So you, 1820s.
Right. We came, we were part of the old 300, came with Stephen F. Austin. So,
that's right. So, and where did they come from, your family?
Missouri. Yeah, Missouri, and as did Stephen F. Austin. And we Jesse Burnham was my forefather. That his two of his sons fought at San Jacinto. And he and Sam Houston had a sort of a long running feud. He operated a ferry on the Colorado River, and when they were retreating from Santa Ana, some small skirmish during the Independence War, General Houston had the ferry burned. Have
you gotten reambushed for that yet?
Well, he worked for years on reparations for that. I think that was the sort of the source of their argument. I don't really. At that point, I can't finish the story very well. My father could. He's much more into it than I am. But yeah, it's we've been here a long time.
I just imagine Sam Houston was not the kind of guy you wanted to get into an argument with, as I recall. Yeah,
probably uphill battle.
Although they were all pretty tough men and women back then. The first 300, that's an incredible story. You're mayor, and we've talked about this because I teach political communication, and mayors are the people who actually have to answer to people for something. I mean, a president, a senator, a congressman can always say, well, there was a bad grain harvest in Bulgaria, and that affected the larger socioeconomic indicators, and that's why you lost your job. But as mayor, somebody says, my street has not been cleaned in 6 months, Mayor. What are you going to do about it? And you actually have to answer, right?
Yeah, you're on the front line.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's it's interesting. Our citizens. So I've been doing this now for close to 120 days, and I've learned that. For every complaint, there's probably 10 or 12 people that have something positive to say or a bit of encouragement. And sure, you've got with a city of our size, not only people but square mile, we're very spread out. There's always a problem somewhere. But I had 30 years of business experience to prepare me for, it's the reality. It's much like you with faculty or even with students. There's always someone upset, at least somebody,
yes.
maybe a handful of somebodies. Yeah. And that's the same way in business. As much as you'd like to think every customer was happy, you knew that there were some that weren't, and at any one point, and you were always trying to remediate that. You're always trying to work on that. And I think it's the same thing with the city. You try to respond quickly. You try to respond in a way that that's going to make that citizen happy. If you can. I mean, it's hard for me to get all the water off the streets after we have 3 inches in an hour. I can't do that. But our systems, I think, have worked well, and so it's fun. I'm enjoying it.
What's been the the strangest request you've gotten yet? I mean, there must be some things that you think, gee, is this really my job as mayor to do that?
There's I think the most interesting
lost cat complaints.
I think the most interesting was there's a citizen. I don't even know if he's a citizen. He's not. I don't know his name. I've just gotten emails but he feels like I'm the key to getting a great Chinese restaurant in Lubbock. He thinks that we're missing what he would describe as a great Chinese restaurant, and that the mayor can have some impact upon that.
Well, that's the city council's job, don't you think?
I would think certainly,
Yeah,
maybe, or the city manager, or someone. Yes.
We should talk about. Well, I do want to talk. I've been in Lubbock a total of 3 years,
Right.
and it's Lubbock. We love Lubbock. My wife and I, we love Lubbock. We're very happy here. I've been many other places, and this is the best place we've ever lived. Lubbock has its challenges in how it presents itself.
Yeah. Sometimes we're our worst enemy.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. A lot of people like myself who are sort of expatriates is that there's sort of a people are proud of Lubbock, but they don't talk up Lubbock as a matter of course. And in fact, sometimes you'll like I tell the story. There's somebody in city services. I won't out them, but basically, when you turn in your license from another state. This person, I've talked to like 5 people, and no matter where you've come from, I mean, you could be handing in your license from Syria, and they would say, well, why would anybody leave beautiful Syria to come to Lubbock? I mean, there's a certain downplaying of Lubbock. Where does that come from?
I don't know, and I think it's something that I'm talking a lot about, trying to remind people how great Lubbock is. I mean, I'm like you. I've lived other places, and I've dealt with traffic, and I've dealt with high taxes, and I've dealt with streets that weren't as well maintained as ours are. I've dealt with communities that were a lot larger that didn't have as many great things to do like we do. I think Lubbock is it's really a jewel, and there's this sort of an old saying that if you'll stay here long enough to wear out one pair of shoes, you'll never leave. And I really. I really believe that. It's been a wonderful. I came here to go to school. My parents met at Tech in the 50s. I've got this real strong Tech bloodline, but I came here to go to school, then left for 10 years, and then married and brought my very pregnant wife back here 22 years ago. And it's been for us, it's just been a real blessing. We had a lot of success with business, but more importantly, it's a great place to raise kids, and it's a great community. It's a place that I'm proud to say I'm from, and that it's my hometown.
Do you see your job as boosting Lubbock's image? And I'll give you another example. I travel to Dallas and Houston a lot, and my first time I traveled to Dallas, I was at the rent-a-car lot at the airport, and there was a big delay, and the guy who was handing out the keys just sort of entertained us, started asking us what cities we're from, San Antonio, El Paso, and he'd always have something nice to say. And I said, I'm from Lubbock, and he looked at me and said, oh, man, I feel for you. And I'm going, where does that come from?
I think most people that say that talk like that have never been here. There's this legend that we have horrible weather, and with the exception of a handful of days a year when the wind really blows, I'll put up our weather with anybody, anywhere, any place. We have wonderful weather. We have lots and lots of sunshine. I think people that throw rocks are generally folks who've never come here and got to know our people and really experienced the quality of life that we have. So.
Yeah, and it is a very high quality of life.
I'm never going to embarrass. I'm never embarrassed, nor will I ever apologize for it. I think Lubbock's a great place to live. It's a great place to play. It's a great place to do business. I'm the biggest fan.
Well, that's who should be mayor, right?
I guess.
The first song that you listed for us is the Eagles. I guess this is a song about a place, right? So it's sort of apropos to talk about Lubbock. The Eagles, The Last Resort. Now, what does that song mean to you?
Well, I grew up with the Eagles, and I first saw them in 1979 in Austin as a teenager, and I got a lot of Eagles songs I really like. But
you played this music a lot. We talk on the show a lot about. Obviously, I tend to interview people who are maybe in their 40s and 50s, and they talk about how their kids don't necessarily appreciate their great musical taste. Does your family appreciate your musical taste?
I think they do. They've grown up with it, and it's not the music that they necessarily listen to, but they can pick out the Eagles or Bob Seger or Jimmy Buffett. But the Last Resort to me is just that it's a Don Henley ballad that talks about how as often as humans, when we find some place that's really great, we can't help but overpopulate or mess it up, and it talks about America as we've moved west, and I like the song. I think it tells a great story.